Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett recently made comments encouraging violent protests at a virtual rally. She said, and I quote, these are her words, not mine. She said, "All I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down." Well, that could be interpreted any one of a number of ways, but I believe it's wrong to wish on any American, much less a fellow Texan. And I would expect better than this sort of incendiary rhetoric from a member of Congress who was elected to her position because of the very democracy we are fortunate to enjoy. But this isn't the only thing she said recently that has raised eyebrows and resulted in condemnation. Congresswoman Crockett recently commented that our Governor Greg Abbott, who happens to be a paraplegic as a result of a terrible accident years ago, she said that she referred to him as Governor Hot Wheels, presumably because he's in a wheelchair due to an accident decades ago. And then it's Senator Cruz, my colleague, the junior senator from Texas, she said should be knocked over the head, like hard. This is disgraceful, and we should call it for what it is. We have a duty as elected officials to bring out the best in our country, not to take the low road. And particularly, we should not encourage harm against people we don't particularly agree with. This is a disturbing trend in political rhetoric, one that has turned to violence. Again, not for the first time, but we should condemn it and we should shut it down now. These events should serve as a wake-up call that it's past time to turn down the temperature. I believe that all Americans and all Texans deserve better. President, I yield the floor, and I would note the absence of a quorum.
Secretary, please call the roll.
All right, you're just listening in there. That was the Texas Senator John Cornyn discussing DOGE, tariffs, and much, much more here on Live Now from Fox. We're still awaiting President Trump to make those major announcements about tariffs. We'll take you out to that as soon as it begins. Until then, let's line away for a quick 2-minute break.
Double exhaust. Huh?
Welcome back in here too, live now from Fox. I am Eddie Mack. We want to bring you some breaking news involving immigration and the Alien Enemies Act, as I want to put up this tweet right now from Bill Maluzhin talking about a federal appeals court has denied President Trump's request to block Judge Boasberg's order of deportations of suspected Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. You can see this according to via the Alien Enemies Act. The order blocks the Trump administration from further deportations of the AEA. Of course, really upholding what Judge Boasberg said about the order, stopping those deportations. Of course, we've been following this very closely here on Live and Now from Fox. The Trump administration, they had transferred hundreds of migrants to El Salvador, even as that federal judge issued the order. We know the appeals court has denied Trump's request to block it, so upholding that one, of course, under a 18th century wartime declaration targeting Venezuelan gang members. Of course, the U.S. District Court Judge James Boasberg issued an order several weekends ago, temporarily blocking the deportations. The lawyers told them there were already 2 planes of migrants in the air, one headed to El Salvador and the other for Honduras. Boasberg verbally ordered the planes to be turned around. They apparently were not, and he did not include the directive in his written order. Of course, this is the follow-up, as this will likely rise now to the Supreme Court, and they may rule on this. Of course, that is their discretion to choose some of these cases, but the federal appeals court right now has been denied President Trump's administration's request to block this order, as the, of course, deportations will continue to be halted, continue to be paused. So that is a major development that we're following here on Live Now from Fox, a major blow for President Trump. But of course, it will likely rise to the Supreme Court. We'll see if they make a ruling on that moving forward. All right, let's continue here on Live Now from Fox. We're talking about plenty of international headlines as we're learning from yesterday the ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine. Of course, a agreement in the Black Sea has come to terms. For more on this, let's go to Alex Hogan with this report.
Another night of heavy air attacks on Ukraine centered on the Black Sea port of Mykolaiv, while Russia claims it shot down Ukrainian drones over the sea itself, just hours after both sides agreed to a U.S.-brokered ceasefire that was supposed to stop attacks like this. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he doesn't think Vladimir Putin will hold up his end of the bargain.
Повітряні тривоги. If there is military activity in the Black Sea again, if there are Russian manipulations and threats again, then new measures will have to be taken.
The White House says it's now working on ways to ensure both sides stick to the deal and end the fighting in the Black Sea, with President Trump considering bringing in European troops to help monitor both sides.
We have other countries involved, and they're involved very strongly in the process, and that'll be resolved.
But the Russians say that is a non-starter, and they'll hold the U.S. responsible for making sure Ukraine complies with the ceasefire.
We need clear guarantees. Given the sad experience of agreements with Kyiv, guarantees can only be the result of an order from Washington.
Moscow also says it will only agree to the deal in exchange for sanctions relief, which the U.S. may not be willing to provide. Still, the White House says it's a positive first step they hope will lead to a permanent ceasefire.
No one was talking. Now we're going from, if this war will ever end, an endless war of people, treasure, and material, to now how it will end.
Ukraine said Wednesday that Russia has hit at least 8 energy facilities after promising to stop those attacks. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that, Alex. And of course, we are following Zelensky in Paris, France, meeting with other European allies, including Emmanuel Macron there. Of course, we're talking about the coalition of the willing, throwing their support behind Ukraine, even as these ceasefire talks continue, of course, revolving around the Black Sea. Most recently, let's take you right now out to some of these comments, of course, translated into English, as Zelensky and Macron hold a press conference earlier today. Let's listen into that.
Much for this support. Thank you, dear Emmanuel, for your friendship and your support to Ukraine. Dear President, ladies and gentlemen, dear France, first and foremost, I would like to thank you personally, Emmanuel, as well as the whole of France, for a constant support and very sensitive support granted to Ukraine. We very much appreciate having a friend like you, Emmanuel, like France. Today, there are many things to be done for the security of Europe, for all of our citizens, together with France and all of our partners in Europe and around the world. It is a decisive moment for the world. The way today the leaders design the security in Europe will impact many other generations. And we're working on the protection against the Russian aggression for a lasting peace and for the security in Europe. Today, with the President of France, we work on bilateral issues, but we also are preparing for our meeting tomorrow with our other friends and European partners. And every time we meet, our discussions become ever more concrete, and our cooperation with this coalition of the willing aims at defending our peoples and our collective security. Please allow me to underline the efforts undertaken by President Macron and France to help us defend ourselves against the Russian strikes. Like I said, well, like I told you already, it is already your Mirage jets, our Mirage jets, those that were manufactured in France. And I would like to thank you for these aircraft. Already a key element of our air defense system, and they help us defend against the Russian jets and drones and other flying objects. So thank you very much for these jets. Thank you for everything you're doing. We've been talking about the situation on the front. We'll continue to talk about our concrete needs and how to put an end to this war. Thank you for this new support package for the Ukrainian armed forces. It's been presented already by President Macron, Emmanuel, 2 million euros. And our ministers for defense will keep working on these issues. Next, you're well aware of our discussions with the Americans, what took place in Saudi Arabia over the past few days. On the Ukrainian and American delegations talked about the ceasefire, the energy infrastructure, and other matters, and the monitoring of the ceasefire. Regarding the Black Sea, that was discussed as well, the situation is more complex. There are discussions as to the preconditions, and we hope that the Americans will insist for an unconditional silence above the Black Sea. Regarding this silence on the ground, in the air, and at sea, at the moment, Russia is refusing this unconditional ceasefire that shows that Russia is not ready to put an end to this war. So we shall continue to exert pressure on Russia. It is certainly not the time to weaken our pressure or our unity. We need more concerted measures in order to bring peace, a fair and stable peace. The sanctions against Russia shall remain and be increased as long as Russia is occupying Ukraine. Any attempt by Russia to continue with this war requires a response. This is the only language, the language of force, that is being understood by Moscow. Accordingly, Europe, the United States, the entire world needs to be strong to defend itself and to defend the interests of peace. Thank you, and I'm grateful to all of those who in Europe who are helping Ukraine to defend itself and also helping us in bringing peace and stability. It is important that each European country can increase its defense potential, and there are technological aspects and other elements. The more is being produced in Europe, the better for Europe. And thank you very much for these partnerships aiming at co-producing equipment in Ukraine. We already discussed this together with Emmanuel. We will work on increasing our own production. This applies to artillery, air defense systems. We already looked at these issues in detail. And of course, we bet on diplomacy. But only diplomacy based on force can be strong. And such is the purpose of our work and of our discussions tomorrow. We're expecting some new and strong decisions. The time has come to agree security guarantees and to address all of these concrete issues, contingents.
Not the best.
And together
I'll
with
probably lose him.
the President of France, today we decided to task our teams to work on these concrete issues. Once again, I would like to thank all of those helping us, and once again, you personally, dear Emmanuel. Thank you, France, and long live Ukraine.
All right, just listening in there to comments from Zelensky and Macron in Paris, talking about the coalition of the willing, throwing their support behind the Ukrainians. Obviously, as we enter yet another new year, the third anniversary was just a few short weeks ago. I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this. Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. We are still anticipating President Trump to make those announcements around the tariffs as we are a week out until the April 2nd deadline for those. So, of course, we'll take you out to them as soon as they happen. Right now, though, let's take you out to the Senator Tom Tillis out of North Carolina on the floor there in our nation's capital making some live remarks. Let's listen in.
For this job. He certainly had many other opportunities, and I think that the American people owe him a debt of gratitude. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, of course, that was just the Representative Tom Tillis out of North Carolina, the Republican making comments we heard just a little bit ago. Texas Senator John Cornyn also chiming in, discussing tariffs, discussing DOGE, also the latest in a long string of headlines. So we're just following all of these here on Live Now from Fox ahead of President Trump to make those remarks on tariffs. And as we mentioned, this coming after the bell has rung on the day in the stock market. So you won't see any movement in terms of what it looks like there, in terms of going red, in terms of going green. But it did close 132 points in the red today. We'll see how this impacts, how this announcement impacts it starting tomorrow. So we'll take you after this as soon as it pops up here on Live Now from Fox as they are discussing the latest with all of that. Right now, though, we are learning more information about that federal appeals court that has denied President Trump and their claim by Judge Boasberg to restart some of the deportations. Of course, Judge Boasberg blocked there on the Alien Enemies Act, stopping and suspending the deportations of suspected Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. The order blocks the Trump administration from further deportations. All right, now we see more comments from different senators on Capitol Hill. Let's listen into this here on Live Now.
Tax policy, which will benefit all Americans and allow U.S. businesses to compete on the global stage. Mr. Falconder's depth of experience in the public and private sector, in addition to his academic credentials, makes him a highly qualified choice for this position. Mr. Falconer spoke strongly at his confirmation hearing about his determination to tackle America's affordability crisis. I look forward to working with him to restore economic prosperity and opportunity and usher in the economic golden age envisioned by the president. Mr. Falconer also clearly met the standard of the Finance Committee's rigorous nomination process. I commend the candor and the diligence that he displayed during the extensive meetings that he had with committee members and committee staff. Qualified nominees for Deputy Treasury Secretary in prior administrations normally receive bipartisan support. I strongly encourage my colleagues on both sides of the aisles today to join me in voting to confirm Mr. Falconer. I yield the floor.
I will.
And Mr. President, I note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Zosu, please.
All right, we're continuing on here on Live Now.
1 minute, Lucy.
Still awaiting is kind of a calm before the storm of some of these announcements.
Let me get this dragon.
Tariffs there as we're approaching 5 o'clock on the East Coast. And as we are mentioning that the hold of this ruling by Judge Boasberg. Again, I want to put this up here on Live Now from Fox from Bill Maloogian talking about the order blocks the Trump administration from further deportations. Let's take you right now out to comments on Capitol Hill earlier today about immigration, as of course the immigration workforce discussing this. Let's listen into this press conference from earlier.
When labor goes down,
come on,
Lucy! That's why ABIC and our partners are kicking off Secure America's Workforce. We are a coalition of American business leaders and entrepreneurs representing 4.7 million employers and their workers for common sense solutions. We're delivering a letter signed by hundreds of employers to the White House and Congress asking them to both secure our border and secure our workforce. We can do both. Woo! 46%, as you see the data here, of our Fortune 500 companies are founded by immigrants or their children. 30% of construction workers, over 50%
I fucking, as soon as I walked out there, you know where she was? She was licking the fucking neighbor's cup inside of her car.
Workers are immigrants. Immigrants are a crucial part of the talent that employers depend on. We are the world's greatest economy, despite being only 4% of the world's population. This requires both domestic and international talent. That's why we're here to support the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, the Dignity Act, the AFU Act, all bipartisan efforts to both secure our border and secure our workforce. So first, we want to thank President Trump for successfully securing the border. Border encounters are down 94% since 1 year ago, as we heard from the President's State of the Union. But inflation continues to be stubbornly high and rising. That's why we're here to ask Congress and the President to do the second part. Let's also secure our workforce and bring down inflation. We also know this is very popular with the American public and Republican primary voters. Because we did a poll on this. We're happy to share with the press. I am thrilled to introduce somebody who won his Republican primary and then sold his company, SkyMall, to Rupert Murdoch at the age of 46. Hailing from the great state of Utah, please welcome ABIC's board chairman, Senator Bob Worsley.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm a founder of a home building company, a factory home building company, and a former state Republican senator from Arizona. And we've lived through this before in Arizona alone. We're now living through it together as a nation. My company builds stackable factory-built homes, beautiful and affordable homes. We build for Utah, Arizona, California, and Idaho. My wife, Christy, and I live in Utah, and we're also devout members and leaders in our church. And we live and care about folks that live here in our country, regardless of their circumstances. We have a housing shortage, and we have a workforce crisis. The country faces a housing shortage of over 4 million homes, driving up prices and rents. A key obstacle to building more housing in this country is a shortage of construction workers, which slows projects and raises costs. As of last July, we had 250,000 construction jobs that were unfilled. 450,000 additional workers are needed by 2025, the end of this year. Immigrant workers make up nearly 35% of the construction workforce, and half of those are without documents. Removing these workers would worsen the shortage, intensify the housing crisis, and make it even harder for affordable housing in America. That's why, as part of my personal passion here, we're calling on Congress for common sense solutions to provide work permits and green cards to law-abiding immigrants. These are the workers who show up to do the hard work, build homes, and help lower housing costs for Americans. It's now my opportunity an honor to introduce someone who has been leading the charge on common sense immigration solutions in Congress. He's a dedicated fighter for American farmers and consumers, an apple farmer from the great state of Washington, and I think it's kind of funny that they put a home builder before him because he's building his name, Congressman Newhouse. We're all about new houses. If you don't mind, I'd like to introduce Congressman Dan Newhouse.
I'm sure that was no coincidence. It happened on purpose. Good morning, everybody. I'm honored to be here in front of you to welcome you to Washington, D.C., and welcome you to the fight, to the effort that we have going on in Congress to make sure that we can protect the workforce of the United States. Immigrant workers are the most important workers that we have. They truly are, because without them, from my perspective, we would not have an agricultural industry. I'm a farmer as you heard, from the great state of Washington. We depend on immigrant workers to make sure that all of you have food on the table when you sit down with your families. It is one of the most basic industries that you can think of. And without a workforce, we are truly putting ourselves at risk. With everything that's going on in the world today and the pressures that we're feeling, and all of us are feeling, at increased prices at the grocery store, one thing that we have to do that will help keep those prices from continuing to rise is ensure that American agriculture has a legal workforce. It's a requirement. It's a necessity. I, along with many others in Congress, and I should shout out some of their names. I just left a meeting with Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren from California, Congressman Mike Simpson from Idaho. The list is long of the people that are engaged in this effort to make sure that agriculture has a dependable workforce on into the future that is legal, that we can be proud of the fact that we employ people that are in this country legally. That's what we all want, the workers and the employers. So we have to continue to do that. I am very optimistic. So Rebecca, Abik, I want to thank all of you for your helping to bring this issue to the level that it needs to be in order to have success. I think we have a lot of things that are working in our favor. I truly do. The current administration, President Trump has made it his priority to bring down grocery prices. My answer to that, make sure that we have a legal, dependable workforce. That's very, very basic. Secure the workforce. A year ago, as you heard, the border was in crisis. Rebecca gave you the numbers. We went from, I think, a year ago, February, over 144,000 encounters of people trying to come into the country illegally. This year in February, that number was down to like 8,000. A huge, remarkable decrease. So the reason that many people in Congress have told me that they can't support our efforts because we have a crisis at the southern border, guess what? That reason is gone. That excuse no longer exists. And so I think we have an opportunity in front of us to make sure that our workforce in agriculture and in many other aspects of our economy can be here legally. And the third reason I'm so optimistic is, over the last several years, members of the agricultural community, both on the labor side and the employer side, have been doing what is key to making our system work. You know what that is? They are making their voices heard to their members of Congress. People understand now how important this issue is, how important it is to food security, as I mentioned, but national security as well. So for those reasons, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for helping elevate this issue, for getting the word out, because I truly think this is the Congress that we can make it happen. The credit is going to go to everybody that's making the effort to be here in Washington, D.C., to help those of us in Congress who are leading the charge be successful. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a wife, a mother, an American citizen who simply believes that no one should have to choose between their country and their family. Yet, that's exactly the choice the immigration laws forced 1.2 million U.S. citizens to make. As I grew up in a dairy farm in rural Ohio of Irish and German
No, you're not going
immigrants,
outside, Lucy. You know
I
why?
understood the
You piss me
American
off.
dream. That is why I joined American Families United to fight for the 1.2 million U.S. citizens like myself who simply want a chance to keep our families together. I'm so grateful for Congresswoman Salazar, Congresswoman Escobar, Congressman Valadao, and Congressman Espaillat for their leadership in introducing the American Families United Act, a bipartisan bill
that would give U.S. citizens access to existing legal pathways to keep our families together.
Take
The
that with you.
dedication to this cause gives hope to so many American families. However, they cannot do this alone. We call on lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to stand with us in supporting these bipartisan solutions. And to the Trump administration, we urge you to do what no administration has done before. Fix the broken immigration system so that it is fair for our families. Now, it is my honor to introduce a true champion of all families, Congresswoman Ria Salazar.
Thank you. And I agree with my colleagues, bipartisan coalition that we have here, that this is one of the most important topics that we are facing as lawmakers. We are proud Republicans, and we do know, and I agree with Newhouse, that this is the moment to fix the immigration system that has been broken for the last 40 years. For everybody. For the families, for the agriculturals, for construction, for hospitality, for the average American. President Trump promised that he was going to seal the border. He did. That he was going to deport Tren de Aragua. He's doing it. That he was going to do away with the gangs, MS-13. He was going to send them back to El Salvador. And that is happening as we speak. So we applaud that, because no one wanted an open border. No one wanted 4 years of open borders with 10 million people, many of them Tren de Aragua, many of them child sex traffickers, bringing kids from Central and South America. We don't know where they are, and we need to find them. So the problem was immense, but this administration fixed it in 40 days. As Newhouse said, our country has been built on immigrants. My parents, first generation Cuban American, others are Greek Americans, others are Italian. It doesn't matter. We all come from somewhere. And right now, as statistics indicate, we have from 10 to 12 million people who are immigrants. Many of them sound and look like me, Hispanics from Central and South America, who have been here for more than 5 years. They are not the people who just arrived through the border 4 years ago, who have been the silent heroes. They have been doing in silence, day after day, the work that is needed for our economy to grow, in agricultural, in construction, in hospitality. These people do not have a criminal record. Many of them have American children. Many of them have been paying taxes year after year, knowing that they're not going to get that money back. But nonetheless, they're here because they love the American dream. And they have helped us to have food by Friday, as Newhouse said, to have new homes for the workforce, and to be able to go to nice hotels and pay a cheap price. So, it's time to do something revolutionary and give them a dignified life in the promised land. And that is the name of my bill. 4 years ago, we introduced it. We were not in the House. He was one of those who accompanied me on this trek. But now is the moment to bring dignity back. And that is what we're doing. The Dignity Act of 2025. We're about to introduce it. It's going to be revolutionary. Why? Because it's going to be Solomonic. It's going to be in the middle. We're going to cut the baby in two. And we are going to satisfy those people in the agricultural, in the hospitality, in the construction, the political sector, the Republicans and the Democrats. It's not perfect, but it's the art of the possible. And we are going to be able to fix once and for all 40 years of a broken system, the immigration system. This is what all have been working on for 4 years, and I do believe that the Trump administration will be the one fixing the problem. Trump is not going to be the guy who's fixed the problem in Israel, or with the Houthis, or with Ukraine and Russia. He will also be the guy who will give us internally a solid and sound immigration system. The Dignity Act caters or cares about those 10 to 15 million people who have American children,
Ah!
who've been paying taxes, who do not have a criminal record, and who have put food on the table year after year, or built the homes, or helped in the hospitality industry, and they have helped growth. They have brought growth to our economy. We will not be able to continue being the #1 economy in the world if we do not have hands. And those hands are inside. I'm not talking about those people who came in through, I'm not talking about those who are coming in. I'm talking about the ones who are here. And they have roots, and we all know them, and we love them, because most of them have not committed a crime. So I thank you. As Newhouse said, we need all of you. We need all of you in the immigration space to call our fellow congressmen and congresswomen on this Republican side, on the Democratic side, and explain to them that there is a group of people inside already who are helping us continue being the #1 country in the world. So thanks again. We're here to help you and to join you in this common fight of fixing our immigration system and bringing dignity to those people who live among us, who are helping us. That's the Christian thing to do. That's the right thing to do. That's the Republican thing to do. Thank you. ¿Dónde en español? Sí. They want me to say, do you think I'm really going to remember all that in Spanish? In Spanish. All right, en español. Right. All right, un minuto. She's saying in Spanish. Where's Spanish here? Where's Spanish television? Right there. Okay, so. Estamos aquí.
You're just listening into this press conference there as lawmakers discuss the immigration workforce. And as you are hearing, there is more talk about President Trump talking about tariffs. That coming up here in just a matter of moments. We'll take you out to it as soon as it begins here on Live Now from Fox. But let's listen in again here earlier on Capitol Hill.
Co-founder of Comité de 100. President Trump received over 46% of Latino votes. Out of those 46%, 50 of them were male. I was one of those that voted for President Trump because we needed a change. We needed a change that we noticed that the administrations in the past, many of them, and for 40 years, had a blind spot for the Mexican community. We felt there was time for a change and time to vote. We're asking President Trump, we're here to support his statement that he made at Meet the Press on the Dreamers belong here. We're asking President Trump to please find the dignity that the previous administration found for many of the new arrivals, like from Ukraine, Cuba, Salvador, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Haitians, that came to the United States with a work visa. We're asking just for to be treated with dignity and respect, a work visa for those who've been here for decades paying taxes, contributing to the work and contributing to the build of our country. We're asking President Trump to please help us pass immigration reform and Congress to bring common sense to the table, where we have elected officials of Democrat on both sides of the party. Now I would like to bring to the podium someone who has common sense and deals with everyday issues of Americans and everyday issues. Congressman Tom Swanson.
Okay, let's hear it for the American Business Immigration Council. Doing a great job. And, you know, I'm a Democrat, and I'm here with these two Republicans, and there are Democrats and Republicans throughout the Capitol that are trying to work together to find a solution to the immigration crisis here in America. We have to secure the border, we have to fix the broken asylum system, and we have to treat people like human beings and secure the workforce. Now, to do that is going to require people to work together, to look beyond their little silos and to try and find common ground. And people like Dan and Maria and myself and Brian Fitzpatrick, who wanted to be here today, who's in an intelligence briefing right now, but he's my co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. 50, and Veronica Escobar as well. And a bunch of other people, Democrats and Republicans, that are working on trying to find common ground. In the Problem Solvers Caucus, we have 50 members of Congress, evenly divided between Democrats and Republicans, that have a workforce that is working on trying to find common ground. We have bills like Maria and Veronica's bill. We have Farm Work Modernization Act that Dan was working on just today with a bunch of Democrats and Republicans. There's work that I've been doing with a guy named Marcus Luttrell from Texas. So we have to secure the border. We have to fix the broken asylum system. We have to make a legal pathway for the Dreamers, for the temporary protective status recipients, for the farm workers, for the healthcare workers, for the other essential workers, for the spouses of U.S. citizens. We have to work together to finally resolve an issue that the American people want us to do. And to do that, we need everyone here. We have to build a coalition, or continue building a coalition, of business, badges, and the Bible, all working together to solve these problems, to secure the border, and to treat people like human beings. Working together, we can do that, but we need all of you to participate. Thank you very much, everybody. Vamos a seguir adelante juntos.
I know the members have to go back. I just want to take a few questions for the members before we continue. Yeah. Questions from the back.
Come play with me.
Go. Yes.
Yeah, my name is Charles. I just wanted to ask you, since President Trump is the one that can push Republicans in Congress, let me give you a hug. Any kind of meeting with him, or are you gonna bring it on the table to support this project?
The Trump administration understands that after we have secured the border like we have, and that we're deporting the criminals who happen to be illegals, there has to be a national conversation that will start very soon. What are we going to do with the whole immigration system? And how are we going to help the workforce that you guys are talking about? Construction, hospitality, and agriculture. What are we going to do with those people who are needed, who are here, and who are in the shadows? Trump is a construction guy. He knows very well what's needed to maintain the economy going. So I am sure that when this national conversation starts, after we introduce the Dignity Act, the White House and the whole Republican leadership will be highly, highly respectful and aware and open to discuss what the Dignity Act has. I just told you, it's revolutionary, it's like Solomonic, is going to please everyone, but it's not going to give everything to everybody. But it's a solution, the first one in 40 years. And I am sure that Trump will be for immigration what Reagan was for communism. Thank you.
I would just say that the agricultural industry supported President Trump very strong. He understands the issues of food security.
All right, you're just listening in there to this on Live and Now from Fox of different lawmakers talking about the immigrant workforce. And of course, we're just seeing right now, stepping into the Oval Office, President Trump talking about tariffs and much more. Let's just listen into this here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you today. We just celebrated Women's Day at the White House. It was fantastic, attended by a lot of great women. All women are great. So this is the beginning of Liberation Day in America. We're going to take back just some of the money that has been taken from us by people sitting behind this desk or another desk that's not quite as nice, but they have their choice of 7, as you know. And we're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe, and frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at. And we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy. AI is coming back to levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's new sort of a new business, I guess, when you think about it, but it's plants are going up all over the United States, and many of them have already been started. We're getting early electricity taken care of. We're getting permits very quickly for them, and we're going to make their life very happy. They're coming in with tens of billions of dollars. Individual plants will cost 10, 15, even 20 billion dollars. We're going to let them build electricity generating plants along with their plant, and they can't even believe it. And we're going to get them very quick permits, as I've done always. I did that in Louisiana with 2 LNG plants. I got them one permit in 1 day after waiting 14 years, and the other one in 1 week after waiting for 12 years. But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country. In Indiana, the great state of Indiana, I love Indiana. Honda is building one of the biggest plants anywhere, and they've just started. They wouldn't have done it without this. In all cases, they wouldn't have done it without what we're doing. So we'll effectively be charging a 25% tariff. But if you build your car in the United States, there's no tariff. And what that means is a lot of foreign car companies, a lot of companies are going to be in great shape because they've already built their plant. But their plants are underutilized, so they'll be able to expand them inexpensively and quickly. But others will come into our country and build, and they're already looking for sites. They're looking for mostly sites. They don't want to take the old buildings that are empty and falling down. They want to build new, and there's tremendous action. There is likewise for other companies and countries like the chip-making process. Your chip bill was a disaster done by Biden. All he does is give tremendous amounts of billions of dollars to chip companies that will do nothing with the money. They're not going to use the money here. They're going to just keep it. They have plenty of money. The one thing they have is they have a lot of money. In our case, all we're doing is saying you can't come in unless you build here. And the largest chip company by far is manufacturer from Taiwan is building here. And it'll give us almost 40% of the chip market just for that. They're spending almost $200 billion in the United States to build a plant, and they've almost started. They'll be doing much of the work in Arizona. So we have a lot of exciting things, but to me, this is one of the most exciting. Now, outside of one specific day, and that's Liberation Day. That's the real Liberation Day of America, and that's going to be in April 2nd, and I look forward to it. We'll have a little news conference. We'll talk about it, but this is very exciting. So we're signing a executive order today that's going to lead to tremendous growth in the automobile industry. As you know, the electric mandate that we did allows you to buy a car now, electric or gasoline-powered or hybrid. You can buy any car you want. We had it so that within a short period of time, you had to buy all electric. And the country could never provide the money necessary to build all of those power plants that you would need all over the country. As you know, in the Middle West, they built 8 power stations. That's like the size of this desk or smaller. And they ended up spending $9 billion on 8. And of the 8, 4 of them didn't work. And we're not doing that. So you can buy electric, or you can buy gasoline, or you can buy hybrid, or you can buy whatever you want to buy. And that's the way it should be. The market's going to determine that. And you're going to see prices going down, but it's going to go down specifically because they're going to buy what we're doing, incentivizing companies to, and even countries, the companies to come into America and build. And we're already setting records for new plants. I think the new plant number, the tally is just within a period of a few weeks. It's very large. I want to be accurate. It's very large. And I'd like to ask Will just to come and give some of the basics, and then I'll sign it, and it's off to the races. I think our automobile business will flourish like it's never flourished before. Yes, please, Will.
Thank you, sir. As you stated, we've prepared for your attention a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars and light trucks. This is in addition to tariffs that are already in place on those goods. In addition to, as you said, spurring increased domestic manufacture of cars and trucks, We expect that these tariffs will result in over $100 billion of new annual revenue to the United States of America in tariff revenue.
I think ultimately we could probably anywhere from $600 billion to $1 trillion will be taken in over the relatively short-term period, meaning a year from now. But starting right away. I think we'll go from 600 to $1 trillion within 2 years. And I think we'll be right from the beginning, we're going to be at a very high number, right from the beginning. And right from the beginning, you're going to have a lot of construction jobs, but you're also going to have a lot of automobile jobs. So this is very exciting, but it's also exciting because of what's happening with other aspects. We're going to be doing tariffs on pharmaceuticals in order to bring our pharmaceutical industry back. We don't make anything here in terms of drugs, medical drugs, different types of drugs that you need, medicines. It's in other countries, largely made in China, a lot of it made in Ireland.
I will after I
Ireland
finish
was
the game,
very
buddy.
smart. We love Ireland. But we're going to have that. We're going to have lumber. We're going to free up some of our land.
Probably another 10,
and you'll be able
10
to
15
make
minutes.
a lot of other standards like fire cuts. If Los Angeles had fire cuts, which they didn't have, that's a gap of half a football field between areas. You wouldn't have had the fires. They would have been contained. But you have fire cuts. And by the way, you sell that wood for a lot of money, a lot of profit. It's made from that. But we're going to be doing lumber. We're freeing up our land so that we don't have to use outside sources of lumber. Energy, we're doing fantastically well at. You know, the energy prices have been coming down rapidly as we increase supply, and we've already done that. Chris and Doug are doing a fantastic job on that. That's Department of Energy and Department of Interior. And they're working together hand in hand because Interior has the land and Energy has the ability to do the drilling and do what they have to do. Our coal areas are going to be opened up for clean, beautiful coal. Germany's opening up many coal plants now. You know, they tried the wind and it didn't work. They almost went out of business. They almost went bankrupt. They tried wind, which is a disaster. It's just too expensive and it doesn't look good, kills all the birds, a lot of problems. But Germany is now building a lot of coal plants. China is building one a week. Think of that. And they're using coal, which is very powerful. Coal is a very powerful energy. And we're opening up our coal mines again, and we're going to do, I call it beautiful, clean coal. The technology is so good now that coal can give you tremendous power at the same time. It can be very clean. But we're also obviously doing oil and gas and various other things. You can do pretty much whatever you want. We don't like the wind because we think it ruins the landscapes, the plains, ruins them. And it's got a lot of problems. It's also by far the most expensive energy. It looks horrible in the oceans. It's dangerous in the oceans in terms of navigation. And if you look at what's happening with whales, you know, in one area, they lost 2 whales, like in 20 years, washed ashore. And this year they had 17 wash ashore. So there's something happened out there. There's something driving the whales a little bit loco, but they lost 2 in 20 years. And now they lost 17 in a short period of time. So it's something wrong out there. So this is very exciting. This is going to lead to the construction of a lot of plants, and in this case, auto plants. And you're going to see numbers like you haven't seen, both in terms of employment. Takes a little while. You're going to have great construction numbers initially, and then you're going to have a lot of people making a lot of cars. And one other thing, we have the Speaker of the House with us, who's doing a fantastic job. And where's Mike? And we're trying to get approved. Mike, thank you very much for being here. We're trying to get approved, if we can. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax, but only if the car is made in America. So if the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct the interest. That's a big saving. A lot of people in that part of the world, in terms of buying cars, a lot of them don't think in terms of deductions. People that think in terms of deductions are very wealthy people, but people are going to start understanding what a good deduction is all about. So when you get a loan to buy a car, and I think it's going to pay for itself. I don't think there's any cost. I think you're going to have so many cars built but you're only going to get that deduction of interest if the car is made in the United States of America. So I'm going to sign this, and Mike, I hope you can get that, because I think it's going to be amazing in terms of the number of cars that are going to be made because of it. And I want to thank Howard Lutnick, our fabulous commerce chairman. That's what he is. He's a chairman. He's a very successful guy, a great guy. And we have a big day, Howard, coming up next week. It's going to be good. That's Liberation Day. That's going to be on the 2nd, and that's going to be reciprocal. And I think people will be impressed. We're going to be very fair. We're going to be very nice, actually. We have not been treated nicely by other countries, but we're going to be nice. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised, but it's going to make our country very rich, because we're the piggy bank everybody steals from, and they've been doing it for many years, for decades, and we're not going to let it happen. So, but we're going to treat people very nicely. We're going to treat other countries very, very nicely, and I think it's going to have a very positive effect on everybody, including those other countries. So I'll sign this, and we will see you again on April the 2nd. In terms of this, it's going to be another round, and it's about making America great again, making it strong and prosperous again. Thank you very much.
Sir, Mr. President, on the car tariffs, how do you assure that a car coming into the country is fully built? Could an automaker in Germany say, we need to hire from the car?
Yeah, we're going to have very strong policing, and it's pretty easy to do. If parts are made in America and a car isn't, those parts are not going to be taxed or tariffed. And we'll have very strong policing as far as that's concerned. For the most part, I think it's going to lead cars to be made in one location. Right now, a car would be made here, sent to Canada, sent to Mexico, sent all over the place. It's ridiculous. So,
y'all, we're so bad at the game. You guys suck. You guys should.
It's one number. It's not up or down depending on the cost of the car. It's one number. And that number is going to be used to reduce debt greatly in the United States and to build things, reduce taxes. I mean, basically, I view